In this lesson, we're going to be talking about the soft selection rollout. Now, before we get started, I'd like to take just a second and introduce Zach. Hey, Zach.
Hey, how's it going, Buzz?
Going pretty good. Zach's going to be joining us for the next several lessons. Appreciate Zach taking the time out of his schedule. We have kind of lost Jayhawk at the moment. He is extremely busy wrapping up one of the 3D Buzz systems that will be going online soon. So let's go ahead and get started. So this soft selection rollout. Man, soft selections are so cool, aren't they?
Soft selections rock.
Let me go ahead and start out. Let's do something simple. Let's make a sphere. Let's go ahead and come in here, give a little bit of detail to it. Actually, that's good enough. Come over here. Let's convert it to an editable poly. Okay, since again this whole thing is about polys.
Right.
And we'll drop into a sub-object selection. All right, soft selection. Here's the rollout that we're referring to. I'm going to come over here and select the vertex. Come up here and grab my move tool. Move that vertex out. We'll go ahead and hit F4 so that I've got edge faces turned on. What just happened, Zach?
The one vertex pulled out. It looks like the rest of them stayed right where they were. It kind of gave you a jagged point coming out of the thing.
Exactly. What soft selections will allow me to do is basically generate like a magnetic field that spreads out from the selected vertex or sub-objects, if you will. And this field that spreads out will influence sub-objects around it to make them pull out or push in as well. So let's go ahead and undo that, and let's check this out. First thing, to use sub-objects, what I need to do is simply turn on Use Soft Selection. Okay. Now, right now, we're not seeing anything special going on because my fall-off is too low. So I'm going to come in here and start increasing my fall-off, and as I do, look what's happening.
Oh.
So what's going on, Zach? What are you seeing?
Getting a gradient effect moving from, looks like red to orange to yellow.
Exactly. And then it fades off, and once we get all the way out to blue, blue's just not affected. So now if I come over here and let's go ahead and again, look at that.
Wow.
Okay, so this is really cool if I wanted to look at it as a modeling tool. It's a fantastic way I could go about modeling by just, pulling out entire areas. Oops, we grabbed the backside right there. Let's go ahead and undo that. Here I am just talking away, not paying attention to what is actually selected. But this works as a really good modeling tool if you like doing pushing, pulling, etc.
Right.
Now what I'd like to do is go ahead and start talking about pinch and bubble. But I think it would be easier to see exactly how pinch and bubble affects geometry if we take a look at this on a simple plane.
All right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and come out of sub-object mode, delete this, come back over here to create. I'm going to grab a plane, drag the plane out. I don't know, about right there. Looks pretty good. And we'll go ahead and move this up to there, and I'll zoom out. Hope you don't mind me kind of rushing through this real quick. Everybody's seen the creation of basic geometry. Change the color to something a little bit easier to deal with. Hit G to turn off my grid, and I'm going to, well, this is still a standard primitive. I'm going to go ahead and up my segments to 12 by 12. Now I'll right-click, convert it to an editable poly, and we're ready to go. So again, I'm going to go into vertex sub-object mode, grab a vertex right there, turn on Use Soft Selection, and start upping my amount of influence. So I'm changing the fall off. And what do you think this over here is, Zach?
It looks kind of like a cross-section of what's going to happen when you move your soft selection vertex.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. This is a curve representing what it would look like if we actually took, in this case, the plane, because that'll work really well, and slice it in half. This is what our magnetic field of influence looks like. Man, you're just too slick for me sometimes. All right, so right now, you can look at the point right here as being the point that's selected. And you can see that as we start to go out, we'll be affecting vertices close to it, very similar with the same amount of transformation. But as we get further out, it starts to fall off until we hit no fall off at all. So it has almost a bell-like shape. So if I go and come up here and pull this out, look at that.
We get the same thing.
Exactly. So before, and you can actually see it up here, it's kind of starting to fall off and out. So pretty nifty, eh? There.
Yeah.
There.
Very nice.
Okay, but this allows me to come in here and do some really cool stuff. But you know what? I wasn't planning on doing this, but I want to cheat. Let's see how well the system handles it. I'm going to go ahead and scroll all the way down to the subdivision surfaces rollout, and I'm going to turn on Use NURM subdivision, and I'm going to up my iterations by 1. This is just going to give me a smoother surface so that we can see what's happening just a little bit better. Now let's go ahead and scroll back up. All right. And I'm going to come over here and hit F4 just to get rid of that dense mesh. Now, let's leave the settings at what we had earlier. Go ahead and pull this back up. So now we get,
wow.
Yeah, it's much softer looking. This will just help you see a little bit easier. At least it'll help our beginners out there see a little bit easier exactly what's happening as I start adjusting these things. Now let's leave the setting, the fall off at this amount right here. Actually, let's up it just a little bit. Yeah, let's go about right there. So this is what it looks like right now with no pinch and no bubble. So let's go ahead and come in here and pinch. And when I let go, look what happens. It's starting to, and you guys can't see my hands because I'm using my hands to describe this, but it's starting to like kind of push in on the effect. You can see that our actual bleed off now is a lot sharper.
Right.
It's kind of pinching it to a point. And we can actually see that to a point feel right there. And of course, I make the pinch value higher and then come back over here and pull. Now it's really starting to pinch the effect. So what do you think, Zach? Is that pretty easy to see?
Very, very easy to see. Very clear.
And I'll just right-click on the spinner to set it back to 0. Guess what? I can also pinch negatively as well. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to start out right here at the selected subobject, and look what happens around it. Can you describe it?
Well, it looks like it's going to be like from the dead center, it's going to go upward.
Yeah.
And then it's going to go back down, and it's going to is it actually going to go negative when we pull up?
Watch this. No, it's not going to go negative when we get down here.
It's kind of hard to see from here.
Watch this. A quick volcano.
Oh, wow.
So we can go ahead and come in here and give it a little bit stronger of an effect. Da-na-na.
That's amazing.
So from the center, the point that we actually select pulling out, you can see in the cross-section curve over here that the amount of influence going out actually gets amplified and then starts to fade off. Very good
Awesome.
stuff. Very good stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and right-click on this. Let's come down here to Bubble now. Bubble's really cool. Let's again, show what it looks like with soft selection on right now and no pinch and no bubble. Okay, simple enough.
Okay.
In this one, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and turn the fall-off down a little because I know how Bubble can get. All right, so there you go. Get nice kind of rounded up hump right there. So let's go ahead and undo that. Now let's start putting some bubble. And watch the cross-section curve over here. Let's go ahead and go a little bit higher. Let's make a really strong bell-like shape, about like that. Now look what it looks like when I pull it up.
Oh, wow.
Much more bubbly, if you will.
Much more rounded off.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, now, if I take this, basically it comes all the way back down. There's less of a fall-off in this area. It's just more abrupt.
Right.
So now let's go ahead and undo that. And let's take this guy negatively. Okay, look what's happening now. We're going negative over here.
Okay, wow.
So let's go ahead and pull up, but even though we're pulling up, around it's actually starting to push down.
Oh, wow.
Pretty nifty effect, huh?
So we got like a little hill with a moat around it.
Exactly. Now, if you really want to get crazy, now we can come in here and start applying some pinching effect. And now we've got a much more defined peak that we've pulled out and a sharper edge around the bottom.
Very cool. So basically, it seems like pinch affects the inside of the fall off. I'm sorry.
Actually, starting pinch is going to actually start from the edge up here. It's going to push the effect all towards that edge. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. All right, I got you. I'm with you.
And then the bubble itself is going to kind of push it out, if you will, to give it the bubbly effect.
Okay.
All right, cool.
All right, I got you.
So let's go ahead and undo that. Again, now I'm not modeling anything super cool. That's coming up in the next VTM. But this lesson right here, it's about showing you that the soft selection itself, it's a good thing. It's an awesome tool, and what's really cool is it applies itself up the stack. So if you were to come in here and start applying other modifiers to this, it's going to those modifiers will use the sub-object selection down here at a lower level.
Very nice. It looks like it would really help out with organic modeling with polys.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very cool thing. Now, a couple more things I want to talk about real quick. Edge distance. Let's go ahead and reset pinch and bubble back to 0. Come back up here to edge distance. And right now, I've got a fairly large area that I'm affecting, right?
Right.
I can come up here and turn edge distance on, and now if I pull, look what's happening.
Oh, wow.
It's no longer quite as sharp. Now, unfortunately, we have to look at our cage right now because I've got NURMS turned on. So you can see we're affecting one edge distance out, and then that's it. The effect's over. Okay.
So it sounds kind of silly, but it's putting a cutoff on the fall off.
Yes, exactly. The effect doesn't go out above that edge distance. So right now we're affecting one edge distance. If I adjust it to 2, now we go out 2.
Ah.
So if I pull this up, look what we've got. We're now affecting 1, 2, and then from there, the next one out is blue. It's actually not being affected.
Right.
So we're falling off to it. Okay? So that's what edge distance is for. That's a good one. Finally, effect backfacing. This is really important when you're working with something other than a plane. So let's go ahead real quickly and bring something other than a plane up in here. Actually, you know what? I hate to switch gears like this, but before I delete this object, this is a really good time to show shaded face. Okay, so if I come in here and turn shaded face on, because in a second I'm going to create a box.
Right.
And that's not going to really do me a lot of justice for showing this. Right now I've just enabled vertex coloring, and so now that I'm able to actually shade my surface to give me a better representation of what is being affected and how it's being affected.
Like shading feedback for the soft selection.
Exactly. So now if I was to come in here and expand this out, if I was to start putting pinch on it, okay, that's pretty cool. If I was starting to put bubble on it, So you can see how it's affecting everything a little bit easier.
Very nice.
Okay, and then we can simply toggle that back off. Now, let's go ahead and come up here, delete that out, and quickly create ourselves a box. So that's simple enough. Let's go ahead and come over here, and I will go ahead and back away. Let's go ahead and give myself some detail. Good enough. Turn edge faces back on, and let's go ahead and right-click and convert this over to an editable poly, and jump back in here, and we'll just grab this vertex right here. Now, let's say, actually, you know what? Here's a better thing to do. Let's say I want to grab, I'm just thinking real quick. Let's grab these guys in the center, and I want to affect out on the edge. Basically, I want to bow this. So, you know what? I hate to do this. I'm just going to undo a few times. Now that I kind of know what I want to show you, I'm going to go in here and make that a little narrower, change my height a little bit. You got to bear with me on this. This is going to be cool. Increase this, and let's go ahead. Oops, wrong one. Let's go ahead and put that back to 2. Let's go ahead and increase some segment detail right about there. Now let's convert this over to an editable poly, and check this out. If I come in here and I select these vertices right here, perhaps what I want to do is like bend this kind of like a bar or something.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's not going to do the trick, but if
No.
I come down here and use soft selection, then as I increase the amount right here, watch what's happening. It's eating its way around. In fact, if I hit F3 here, it'll be a little bit easier to see. It's eating its way around, so now when I affect it by pulling the top, it's pulling the bottom as well.
Oh, wow.
And as I continue to increase my fall off, now watch what happens. Now I'm able to bend it like a bar, kind of like
very cool.
I was describing. But you know what? I may want this effect from the top, but not from the bottom.
Like if you were modeling like the top of a hand and didn't want to like end up affecting the
the
underside
bottom.
of the hand.
Exactly. Very good example. So if I come over here and uncheck affect back facing, look at this.
Oh, wow.
All of these guys
it
are
cuts
now
off at the bottom.
exactly.
Very
The
nice.
back facing is not being affected, and now if I pull this up, now I can get an entirely different shape out of it. Okay, so this is really good stuff to know. Thought I would just take a second and point it out.
Very impressive.
And I think that's pretty much everything we need to talk about with soft selection. Remember, this does work with, if I come in here and I select, now this is also another thing to point out right here. Can't really see how soft selection's affecting it, but if I come in here and I turn on the shaded face toggle when I'm using polygons like this, this is where you're going to really need to do it because we don't see those vertices and we don't see that color.
Right.
So, but again, I'm getting the same thing going on right here. Soft selection effect based off of working with polygons. So it works with all my sub-objects. And as I said a minute ago, all of this information, the soft selection information gets passed up the stack as we apply more modifiers on top of my editable poly.
Very impressive.
Okay, so that's going to conclude this lesson right here. Thanks a lot, Zach. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.